Sifter for the ear.
News, interviews, reviews, cinema, TV, streaming. Action.
Hi y'all, this is Jerry Williams, aka TV Jerry. I'll actually be on vacation in Alaska when this show drops, but I wanted to share this film and the filmmaker early so you can make plans to see it at this year's Richmond International Film Festival. Keep in mind that the coming attractions this week only feature the movies that will be slated to open nationally 2 weeks out. Others can open, but the bookers don't make that decision until Monday and Tuesday of next week, which obviously means they won't be here. Meanwhile, Cut and Run Vintage and Shop 23 are presenting Cut and Run Video, where they'll set up the store to look like an old video store with a retail pop-up experience. There'll be VHS tapes and bootleg movie posters for sale and special VHS screenings to be announced. It's going to be running from September 20th through 28th, noon to 6 daily at 1437 Hull Street. And I'll have a link to the related Instagram account on the webpage for this show at tvjerry.com.
Aside from the aesthetics, the process of filming in Virginia is just such a friendly, filmmaker supportive process. They're very friendly towards permits and just supporting a production, allowing you access. And also the crew is just top tier.
That was today's guest, Richmonder Melody C. Roscher, talking about shooting her first feature here. She also wrote Byrd, which will have its Virginia premiere at the Richmond International Film Festival this year on September 25th at 7 p.m. at the Byrd. No pun intended. It follows Byrd Rowe, a biracial bride-to-be who arrives unannounced at her hippie mother's home to plan her wedding. Melody talks about her background in making the movie in today's interview.
Sifter Review of the Week.
The Friend on Paramount Plus or Showtime. Although Bill Murray is the big name on the film, he's in very few scenes. Most of the drama takes place after he's gone, centering around the women in his life, family, lovers, and ex-wives. The primary focus is on his close friend, played by Naomi Watts. She ends up with his 150-pound Great Dane in her small New York apartment, and as expected, her initial disdain turns into affection. Watts is eminently watchable as she navigates all manner of emotion. The film itself is rendered dreary by the long, dramatic dialogues and repetitive situations. There are enjoyable scenes, but more often it drags. Ultimately, there's a sweet story about a woman accepting her past and reestablishing her creative life, and it's packaged in a dog-love movie. I gave The Friend 2 out of 5 stars. Melody Roscher, welcome to Sifter for the Ear. You're a Richmonder born and raised, right?
That's right. Yeah. I grew up between Chesterfield County and the East End of the city.
And where'd you go to high school?
I went to James River.
And then you went to college at NYU. Mm-hmm. Was that because you already knew you were going to be into film, or how did you decide I'm going to be a filmmaker?
I mean, it was kind of a backwards process for me. I wanted to be a zoologist like my whole life.
Oh, wow.
And then around my junior year, sophomore year of high school, I started doing lab work in the vertebrate anatomy classes they had there, which were really interesting. And I was like, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can be in a lab and survive. I'm just not that creature.
Right.
And so I had no idea what I wanted to do, and I was really stressed about it. My sister was like, oh, you're obsessed with movies, be a filmmaker. My response was, that's not a real job. Because I didn't know. I didn't know that it was. It was like movies just drop from the heavens.
I hear that all the time with people who say, I never knew when I was a kid you could make a living as an actor or as a director or even as an artist.
Yeah, so I applied to NYU because I was like, well, let me try to go to one of the best schools I can. I did early decision and I applied for film, and for some reason they let me in.
That's amazing. So you didn't even have like a little portfolio of little shorts or anything you'd done at that point?
I did. I went to the first ever, Southern Mystique Film Camp.
Footnote.
The Southern Mystique Film Camp was offered by the Central Virginia Film Institute from 2001 to 2010 in cooperation with New Millennium Studios in Petersburg. It was for people 14 to 24 who created and produced a film in 1 week.
And it was a week long, and we had to make a film, and I was the DP of that film. So I was able to send something I'd shot, and I had been making little silly kind of comedy shorts with my sister on a camcorder for years. So I probably sent one of those too, and then a lot of essays.
And what happened after you graduated?
I stayed in New York until 2018 is when I started to split my time between New York and Richmond. And then during the pandemic, I made Richmond my permanent only resident.
Well, welcome back.
Thank you.
We're
It's
glad to
great
have
be
you back. Glad you made your
Great to be
movie here,
back.
too.
Yeah, me
So
too.
before we talk about Bird in Hand, White Wedding was your first major short, which you got shown at Sundance, which is congratulations. I couldn't get my movie shown at Sundance.
Thank you.
So what was that experience like? Did you actually go to Sundance and experience it?
I didn't because it was the first year of running the festival during the pandemic.
Okay.
So it was a fully digital year, or virtual year, I should say, and they sent us an Oculus so that we could go to like parties and meetups and network and stuff in the virtual reality Oculus world, which was pretty trippy. And yeah, I did Sundance 2021 from my couch.
So then you decided, I'm going to expand this into a feature. Where did the original idea come from for White Wedding and then for Bird in Hand?
Well, it's funny that the original idea was for Bird in Hand. It was the feature first. I wanted to write something that was less absurd. I'd been doing a lot of really just absurd writing in worlds that didn't exist. And it was fun for me. I just didn't feel like I was really putting my authentic, true self into my scripts. And so I wanted to write something that came from my own personal struggles and expand from there. So I wrote Bird in Hand first, and it was very different than what the film is now, and ended up taking the end of the film and making that into White Wedding.
And what is the basic plot?
It's about a biracial bride-to-be who goes home to stay with her charismatic hippie mother,
Played by Christine Lottie.
played by Christine Lottie. And as she's seeking attention and trying to plan her wedding, she's also manipulating everyone in her orbit because she has a totally secret goal that she's hiding from everyone.
And we won't tell any more than that.
Yeah, no spoilers.
What is the meaning of the title itself?
Early stages of writing, I really wanted to explore characters who keep taking the easiest solution in their lives. Whatever's in the hand is the one that they're going with. They're not challenging themselves to grow.
Right.
And then it's also a play on words with the plot. The lead character's name is Byrd, and her whole mission has to do with getting married.
Wonderfully. Thank you very much for shooting it here. What drove your decision to shoot it in Richmond?
The character made the most sense to me in Richmond because it's where it was born, the genesis of where this all was born. The aesthetics were a really big deal to me, what it looks like to be in the Southeast. We scouted other states. We scouted Georgia, we scouted Kentucky. I was open to anywhere if it made sense for the production, but I always was fighting for Richmond and for Virginia. Yeah, won that fight. In fact, it wasn't a fight. We all decided, this is clearly the right decision for the film. And we're able to work with the Film Commission and make it happen.
Surprise guest drop in.
Speaking of shooting it locally, somebody has dropped in who wants to say a little hello.
Hi.
Can we see your face or just hear your voice?
You can just hear my voice.
Okay. Does that voice sound familiar?
Let's hear some more.
She was in your movie. Why don't you say one of your lines?
Oh, gosh, I don't remember any of my lines.
Is this Jacqueline?
Yes,
Yes.
it is. Oh, my gosh.
Footnote.
Jacqueline Jones has been an accomplished Richmond-based actor for more than 50 years. It's so funny. I was, of course, watching the movie and saw some places I recognized, but I didn't. And then all of a sudden, Jackie jumped up in that grocery store. I'm like, whoa. And I took a picture of it and sent it to her and said, you're in this movie.
That's amazing. Hello. Nice to hear your voice.
Hello, it's nice to see you. And, I didn't think we were going to be visible. And I was going to ask Jerry if he'd ever seen you before because I was going to tell him if he hadn't. You have the kindest twinkle in your eyes and the most encouraging smile. I swear to God.
It's true.
It's really wonderful to be on set with you.
Thank you. Thank you. That means a lot. That was a fun day.
It was a
very
fun day.
And what do you remember about that, Jackie?
For the listeners, I just want to say my work on The Bird in Hand took place in this adorable country store. And I played the grocery store clerk, like you just said. I had jeans, blouse, and apron and everything. And I never knew about the Glen Allen Supermarket before this, and I still shop there now.
Oh, great.
So, but anyway, I was sitting off camera, and I was just watching the filming. And between shots, a crew member came over to me and asked if I worked there, and I smiled and said I do. And then he asked if I was the owner. I said, well, I could be. And he proceeded to tell me what a great place this was and asked if after the filming, would I stay open a little while so he could pick up a few things. And that's when it dawned on me that when he asked if I worked there, he meant the grocery store, not the film. And I laughed and I said, oh,
Oh
I'm
my
an actor. And he was so surprised and a little bit embarrassed. And I told him I thought he was helping me get into character. But I have to
That
give
is
credit
so
to my
funny.
costume designer, Natasha Simkowitz, and of course Melody's casting. And my salt and pepper hair didn't hurt, Break legs on this opening, and thank you for introducing me to this Glen Ellen supermarket.
Yeah, my pleasure. I also really like that supermarket now.
It's great. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Jackie.
Nice to hear you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. So I know in your career before you came to Richmond, you shot in other cities, and you chose to shoot this in Virginia. How is it different? Why did you make that decision?
Well, aside from the aesthetics, the process of filming in Virginia is just such a friendly filmmaker supportive process. They're very friendly towards permits and just supporting a production, allowing you access. And also the crew is just top tier. I think just all of the years of having television and films coming through and having filmmakers stay here, you have just amazing people to work with. So the quality of the craftsmanship in the Richmond area specifically, but I think just in Virginia at large, is just so high. And when you're looking for a small city to film in, or maybe not one of the most popular states for filming, when people think of like, New York, LA, or
Georgia, yeah.
Georgia. Yeah, exactly, Georgia. I mean, Virginia, we may not have enough people to support like 75 television shows, but like the things that can be supported here are supported at the same quality as those cities, for sure.
Do you hear that, Andy? He'll be listening. So let's talk about casting. Alicia Wainwright, how did you find her?
Through a very traditional casting process, we put people on tape. Alicia's tape actually came in pretty late in the process, and it just floored me. There was something about her audition that I felt she understood the character. I could just see that she could hook into it. And so when I met her, I discovered we had a lot of similarities in our paths, specifically with our fathers being absent. And it just all clicked in. I mean, she's very different from the character. She couldn't be more different from the character, but she really knew how to approach it. Yeah, it was just apparent. It was very apparent very early.
Speaking of parents, Christine Lavie plays her mother. And I have to add, I've actually acted with Christine. 100 years ago, she was in a movie here. She probably mentioned to you, she was in a movie here called The Henderson Monster. And I was between jobs for a couple of weeks, and I decided I'm going to be an extra for a day. I've never done it. I've been in this business all my life. And I got my $35 in my box lunch, and I remember all I did was walk in and out of the front door of City Hall, and she was, of course, doing the scene, the walk and talk scene. But now I can say I've acted with her.
Yep.
But she was wonderful in the movie, and I have to say, she and James LeGros both had quirky characters, and it maybe made me think back to when you said you used to do a lot of silly, absurd stuff. Did you encourage? Well, first of all, let me ask you, how did you get Christine Lavie? She's a get.
Again, same similar process. I took a lot of meetings, met with women who had connected with the character, and Christine really did. Again, really understood the character, felt like she was nothing like it, but that she had a way to make this her own. From my point of view, it was like, it's Christine Lavie, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
really,
If she wants to do it, let's do this.
She did make it her own, and she made it quirky and fun. I mean, that was really kind of the neat thing about it. And same thing with James LeGros. Was he just through the audition process too?
Yep, same thing. We met. He was in his house in Wyoming and just really, really loved it. I remember in our first meeting, he was talking about the Cave of Shadows, Plato's Cave of Shadows, and how everyone in the film seemed to have a very distorted perception of who they were versus how everyone else saw them. And I agreed with him. There's definitely a lot of fun, like who I'm pretending to be versus who I truly am in the film.
Yeah.
He really liked that about the script and about his character, and was like, let's do this. This will be fun. So,
Well, did you encourage both of them to go for the wacky? Because, they could have played it much more straight, but they both had that little quirkiness to them and that little weirdness to their personality that made it charming. Was that something you worked with them on, or did they just come full blown that way the first day on the set?
it was maybe a bit of both. I mean, they'd read the script. They knew tonally that there was a lot of room to work with because I was trying to thread the needle on something that felt very genuine and very authentic and earnest, but with levity. I kept saying I wanted the film to be quite buoyant. Like, I didn't want to feel like you were punishing people for watching a very serious thing. I wanted it to feel like
Right.
you're on the journey with them
Right.
and enjoying it, even though it's very awkward and there's a lot of anxiety through the story. But yeah, so I mean, I encouraged them both to come fully understanding and deciding on their character and feeling like they had their version that they wanted to bring to the table based on the writing. And then on set, we explored kind of the range. So, for example, Christine really likes rehearsing. So, if we were going to explore that, it'd be in the rehearsal process. With James, he's like a Meisner study. So, he loves to react. He loves to play on set. We could play. I could change the circumstances. I could change what someone came to him at. And I mean, we have some stuff we didn't use that was like very over the top comedy. That was so fun to shoot with him. I think I couldn't resist doing on set because he's just such a fun guy to work with. Yeah, we explored how kind of, playful these characters were.
There are really some nice intimate scenes between the mother and daughter. Did you just establish those in rehearsal again, or did you do anything special to try to create that bond between the two of them?
We did rehearsals, starting with stuff on Zoom, just to allow the two of them to get a vibe from each other and to do some of the chemistry work and just feel how those characters, like drafts of those characters, were in a room together.
That's a luxury.
It is a luxury, and a lot of it was just online because that was the only way we could make it happen. As everyone knows, once everyone's on the ground in person, it gets very expensive very fast.
Oh,
So
okay.
we
So
did
now tell me that, because obviously I was in the business my whole career, but only one time did I ever try to do any kind of rehearsals online, and it was so frustrating because you have a slight lag. You're obviously not really there with each other. What was that process like?
It was more of a let's talk through the script.
Oh, okay. Not actual
And
rehearsing lines.
So
and stuff.
wasn't rehearsing. I wasn't looking for a performance from either of them. It was a time to, let's say, look at a scene with Christine and Alicia. We would pull out any scene of them together, and I would invite questions. I would invite them to talk to each other about why they're saying the things that they're saying, and why won't Christine just, finish watching the movie with Byrd on the couch? Why won't she give her room to lay down with her? Like these things. It was a time for them to talk to each other about why they were approaching the scene the way the characters, and then a time for me to respond either as the writer or the director on something if they felt that they couldn't find their way to attach to the writing. But I mean, it's my first time directing a feature, so I learned a lot about myself as both a writer and a director, but I really do like to see how the actors connect to the material on their own. Because for me, you can just see that they get it, that they know what they're doing from a baseline in such a strong way, and then only kind of intervene with that process if they feel that the writing just isn't clicking for them.
It's interesting. I don't know if you noticed or heard, but Nicholas Collier was shooting a movie called Griffin in Summer in Richmond, and he was on the show, and he was at Tribeca, and you took yours to Tribeca. How was that experience for you?
I mean, it was awesome, especially because, I still feel like half New Yorker, half Virginian. So to debut the film in New York felt very right. And a lot of friends and family could be there, a lot of people who worked on the movie. I feel like I've done kind of a torch pass with Nicholas because I shot almost exactly a year after he did. And,
Oh, really? Okay.
And then their film is being released any
It's
day
actually
now,
out.
if not. Okay, it's out already. That's so exciting.
Footnote.
I'll post my interview with Nicholas about Griffin in Summer on the webpage for this show at tvjerry.com. So what's the story in the movie behind the horse?
God, I was obsessed with the horse.
Are you a horse person? Did you grow up riding horses or anything? Or
I grew up riding horses a little bit. Like, I'd say I was a hobbyist. I've always really liked riding horses.
do you know Rita McClenny?
Mm-mm.
She used to be the head of the film office for 20 years, and now she's head of Virginia
yeah.
tourism. She grew up riding horses in that area too. So
Yeah, that's why I recognize her name. No, I mean, the thing with the horse was really just, Byrd's mother seemed so unsympathetic to her problems on a daily basis.
yeah.
But feed a horse the wrong thing or allow the horse to roam around irresponsibly, and she's outraged and ready to save it and ready to, chide these people for not taking care of their animal. I really liked the parallel of how people sometimes are so empathetic and supportive for animals, but when it comes to like human beings, sometimes ones that they're related to,
Right.
they aren't able to muster that same amount of care and consideration. I just think it's interesting.
So obviously the movie's going to be at Riff. What's next for Bird in Hand?
So we're going to be going to Knoxville for a festival there that's very exciting. We're going to be going to the Twin Cities Film Festival as well. And we're going to be doing the first ever New York Comedy Festival.
Oh, great.
Next February, 2026. And yeah, we're still in the process of sharing it with the world through the festival process. Take it around and share it with people and
Then look for a distributor.
then find a distributor, which
go.
is the funnest part of the process, I must say.
So the last question I always like to ask everybody, when you're not working on promoting Bird in Hand, what are you watching at home? What movie or TV show or what are you streaming right now?
Ooh, yeah. I just rewatched Parasite because
Wow.
the writing on that film just blows my mind. I also rewatched his, Okja, which was his first Netflix film.
Footnote.
If you don't remember, Parasite was the black comedy that won the Oscar for Best Picture in 2020, and the director is South Korean Bong Joon-ho, whose other films include Snowpiercer and Mickey 17.
I mean, I'm going backwards. I usually like to watch what's current and what's new, but right now I'm going and I'm rewatching one filmmaker's work. And
wow.
I actually just went back and watched Red Rocket for Sean Baker.
Footnote.
In addition to Red Rocket, Sean Baker directed Tangerine, The Florida Project, and Anora, which won Oscar for Best Film last year.
Red Rocket is amazing and hilarious, and it went to Cannes, but I think it's not one I hear talked about as much, even though a lot of people say it's their favorite. I really like to track like people's writing, what like their style through their films, and what are they writing with someone else? Are they doing it on their own? How is that changing? How is it developing? How is it becoming more fleshed out for them as an artist?
So you say that with filmmakers, you wrote and direct this. Does that mean you want to continue writing and directing? Would you direct somebody else's script or write something for somebody?
Yeah, I would do all of those things. I think directing someone else wrote would be really freeing. It's really so important, and I know everyone has said this, to write what you know.
Yeah.
And as a first-time director, when you get in that moment where you have 5 minutes left and you need something else, and you're like, what is it that I need? When you know the material well, like you just have a place to mine from so easily. So now that I've had that experience, I definitely crave working with material that I have to do my own research on and that somebody else has written, and I have to like find, kind of like an actor's process, I have to find my way of attaching my voice to it. And so I want to do that. I also want to write for other people. I also want to write with other people. I love collaborating. So I'm definitely not trying to stay in like a cave of my own thoughts. That's just not super fun for me.
Right.
I just saw something in theaters last week and I can't remember what it was.
Footnote.
At this point, I opened my reviews on my website and went through all of them until I finally hit it. The Naked Gun?
Oh, that's what it was.
Okay. That was a hoot. Actually, I reviewed the original. I went back and found my review of the original, and it was fun. Didn't you enjoy it?
I loved the Naked Gun reboot from the concept that they cast Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
Like, because of the name confusion, I'm like very down for lowbrow jokes like that. I thought it was very fun to see something that kind of was in the old, like, absurd style. I loved those movies growing up. I loved Airplane, and Hot Shots, and love Mel Brooks. And
yeah.
I have a movie date with my dad to watch your movie. We're gonna watch The Dirt Women.
Wow.
I heard about Dirt Women since I was a kid from my dad. Yeah, so we're gonna watch Dirt Woman, your Dirt Woman doc together.
Well, Melody, this has been great to finally get a chance to meet you. Congratulations on the movie, and congratulations on being at Riff.
Thank you. I'm thrilled. It's going to be a really fun week. Excited for people in Richmond to get to see the film.
That was writer-director and Richmonder Melody C. Roscher talking about shooting her first feature, Bird in Hand, which will have its Virginia premiere at the Richmond International Film Festival this year on September 25th at 7 p.m. at The Byrd. I'll have a link to the festival on the webpage for this show at tvjerry.com.
Coming soon. In theaters.
Remember, as I mentioned in the beginning, these are only the movies that I know will open. There'll probably be other movies that will be scheduled but weren't announced before I left. Downton Abbey, the grand finale. Mary finds herself in a public scandal and the family faces financial trouble in what is promised as the last movie in the franchise. Spinal Tap 2, The End Continues. After all these years, the band is back for this sequel to the legendary mockumentary, again directed by Rob Reiner with Christopher Guest, Michael McKean, and Harry Shearer. The Long Walk. Based on a Stephen King story, this is an annual competition where 100 teen boys must maintain a walking speed above 4 miles per hour or they'll get shot dead. Toy Story. The original is being re-released for its 30th anniversary.
TV and streaming.
Black Rabbit on Netflix. When the owner of a New York City hotspot allows his turbulent brother back in his life, he opens the door to escalating dangers. Starring Jason Bateman and Jude Law. The Girlfriend on Prime. Robin Wright stars as a rich woman whose son brings home a girlfriend, Olivia Cook, and they don't get along. The Wrong Paris on Netflix. Miranda Cosgrove plays a woman who joins a dating show thinking it's in Paris, France, but it's actually in Paris, Texas. Then there's The Bachelor. The Man in My Basement on Hulu. A man living in Sag Harbor is about to lose his ancestral home when a businessman with an European accent offers to rent his basement for the summer. And he's played by Willem Dafoe. Lilith Fair, Building a Mystery on Hulu. This documentary explores the 1990s all-female music festival. Gen V on Prime, the second season of this show that explores the first generation of superheroes before The Boys. Finally, September 14th, the award show for TV, the Primetime Emmys, is on CBS and Paramount+. You know, you can subscribe to this podcast on the usual platforms or go to TV Jerry, click on the podcast tab, and there's a link to enroll. I'll still be on vacation next week, so there won't be another new podcast until September 24th, and that one will feature longtime Richmond cinematographer Bunt Young. This is Jerry Williams. Thanks for listening.
For more Sister, including literally thousands of reviews,
Visit tvjerry.com.
That's a wrap.